Bonjour, Edouard.
Guten Tag, Khaled.
Hello, everybody out there. I'm super happy that I have Edouard from Powell Software, our partner from France, today here at our German headquarters in HIRSCHTEC in Hamburg, talking about a fantastic study that we did recently this year together with YouGov, where we ask for digital workplace usage and what the effect of that is. So how many stress does that produce, or do real employees feel comfortable in using the digital workplace? So Edouard, share with us, why did you support us during that study and what was our main intention?
Yeah, sure. That was a great opportunity to work closely with you on that study. So first of all, what was the real objective of that study is that we were willing to understand how much the digital workplace was impacting the day-to-day of any employee across those organizations. Basically, the world is changing massively. Think about the society, the macroeconomy, right? Like cost pressure on innovation, labor shortage, the impact of the hybrid world, post-COVID pandemic, right? It's massive. So that the importance of that study was really to connect the dots between the impact of intranet and digital workplace with the mega trends that we are seeing in the society. So think about labor shortage. Think about the impact of the hybrid world. Think about the cost pressure on innovation. So truly we were willing to understand how much digital workplace were able to answer to those mega trends, to those changes, to optimize the way employees are working on their day-to-day.
And so what was in terms of the outcome? So what surprised you most?
So one of the most surprising number for me was that almost a third of the respondents are admitting feeling not super comfortable with AI, artificial intelligence. Feeling a bit overloaded with the complexity of that new technology, how to implement it, how to use it. And I feel that's an eye-opener to me in the sense that what we need to avoid collectively is to have a two-speed society, right? With at some point a part of the employees that feel super comfortable with AI and use it in each and every day and feeling super efficient. And on the other side, I think some of the people feeling a bit lost and out of the scope. It reminds me a bit like what we've lived 15 to 20 years ago with the rise of mobile, and people were using mobile were super efficient, and there was the one that were non-digital native that were not using mobile that were on the side. So I think to me that's one of the biggest eye-opener in that study.
Absolutely surprising. What surprised me also is the simple fact that 42% of the respondents said in general they feel some kind of stress using digital workplace. And that's not what we wanted to see. Companies invest a lot into digital workplace and don't generate a good work result. We don't want to have stress in the digital workplace. And then we dig a bit deeper, and so you can see 50%, close to 50% reported that technical issues cause stress.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that to be that high number. 30%
Amazing.
Around report that the number of changes, the amount of changes and updates cause stress again. And to be honest, if I see myself using whatever type of cloud service, the beauty is it's always there. But yes, there are some significant amount of changes coming regularly. And I think in a work environment provided by the company, this should not lead to stress. It should be dealt in a good way with.
So can you tell me, super interesting as an insight for sure. So then what should the manager, the organization do to go next and improve that situation, basically?
I think that's a good question. What can they do? They spend already money on the digital workplace. But sometimes I think it's important that we just accept that it's more than just technology that we install. It's not about get technology running. It's about getting people engaged with the technology. So you really have to think about adoption and change, campaigning around the provisioning of a digital workplace, more really understand what's the need, what are the use cases. So how can you help people getting the most out of it? And so I think in general, if you accept as a IT department or as HR, whoever else took the decision to invest in a digital workplace, this is something that works for the long term. It's a transformation. And transformation is not over next week, Thursday. It's something we start and we continuously work with.
Fully agree. Yeah.
So it looks like there's really a lot to do beside just provisioning of technology. And as I mentioned, I mean, it was really surprising for us to see 42% coming back to the results of the study. 42% report to some extent stress using the digital workplace. Yeah. Is this a reality that you also see in your day-to-day work, working with companies?
Yeah, especially for the last couple of years. And first of all, back in 2020, back to the COVID pandemic, there was some of the deployment of technologies, but also in the digital workplace that have been realized like super fast in a stressful environment because like companies had to equip their employees to work remotely. And I think there was a miss in terms of change management to support those employees to work perfectly with those tools, to equip, to train, to support. And I think we are kind of paying this after a couple of years. That's the first effect that I do see generally in Europe. The other one is that there are like multiple tools, multiple softwares, let's say accelerated with the rise of artificial intelligence. There are more and more softwares that are deployed within the digital workplace environment. And it's kind of super complex for the employees to know when to use what software, and especially to know when for what types of value. To me, one of the biggest next steps for us as an ecosystem is really to help organization and customer realize for what types of usage they are going after. What's the value? What's the impact? And above everything, be able to monitor that over time. But again, change management and user adoption to me is one of the most critical pieces for the next couple of months. Khaled, we've discussed about digital stress, right? That's super important, let's say. Based on your experiences at HIRSCHTEC, what concrete steps can organization move to reduce that amount of stress within the organization?
You mentioned change management and adoption. Certainly is a very important point, and provide guidance around the multiple tools that we have. Two advices that we always give, which sound easy but are not that easy to achieve, is first of all, really come up with a joint strategy, what you want to use as a company. The digital workplace is really full of options, and you have to reduce the number of options and really define the tools you want to use for specific use cases. So a clear tool landscape can help to give navigation for the whole employees, for each role, for every persona that you have in the organization. And on top of that, something that's probably, that doesn't sound that important for the user, but it is around security and governance. Yeah. So if you implement a digital workplace without a good governance concept, then you have a lack of security and you miss the opportunity to keep control of your digital workplace. And that leads to confusing usage, that leads to, of course, also risk. And it leads to a scenario where people probably feel they are not using it in the right way, or to some extent feel uncomfortable because there is a lack of guidance and a lack of trust in the usage of the digital workplace. That is something where we can work with companies in combination with different stakeholders from IT, but also from the security people, from the really business decision makers, and from all people from internal comms being involved in the decision making of a digital workplace. Yeah. Coming back, governance, an important topic. But in Germany, especially in Germany, in the DACH market where we operate, we see a significant installed base in Microsoft 365 when it comes to digital workplace. And of course, we help customers in getting a good governance implemented for M365. Now we're talking with you are Powell, not Microsoft. Do I have to take a decision either between Microsoft and Powell, or how does that work together?
Yeah, super good question. Thank you, Khaled. I think since now 10 years and the creation of Powell, we have a unique mission and a unique vision that is to help organizations capitalizing on their Microsoft investment. So it's not one against the other. It's Microsoft plus Powell together, and for different reasons. First of all, you said it, for Germany, but also valid in the rest of Europe, Microsoft market share is super important, especially when it comes to Microsoft 365, SharePoint, Office 365. So that's, a super important market. That's one. And two is that, the vision we had and that we still have is to combine the best of the two worlds. On the one side is to equip corporate communication and HR with the best digital workplace, let's say to reach their ambition, which is to bring productivity, efficiency, and well-being for the end users. but without any compromise for the IT and the security. So we have the highest security standard being on the Microsoft platform to respect that alignment and that fair balance between the IT and security needs versus the corporate communication expectations.
So it's more like you complement the decision of a Microsoft 365 strategy.
100%. The vision we have is really to go further. So let's say betting on Microsoft platform plus combined with the Powell value proposition, you can go much further.
Okay, and it helps again for compliance. It helps for like functionality around information management, collaboration management.
Correct.
See, I think, you mentioned a point where we always believe it's good to bring people to the table. We have like formats doing that where we want the different stakeholders that are involved in decision-making of a digital workplace not to be disconnected. They should be connected and develop a digital workplace strategy.
So, Khaled, talking about like the stakeholders for a digital workplace project, according to you, what's the critical role of the IT in that landscape?
Yeah, the IT plays a major role because the digital workplace is, of course, like an element or a significant like environment where the IT plays a major role in the decision-making, in the provisioning, in run, maintain. So in providing a digital work experience to all employees, no matter what role they have. The challenge that we see, especially in Germany, you can see the Bitkom reported that we already have a significant gap of IT resources in the market. Today, around 150,000 open vacancies. It will go up to close to 600 or even more thousand open vacancies in 2040. So the big question is, if we understand that IT plays a major role in the provisioning and in the maintenance of a digital workplace, who shall do that if there are no IT resources available? Because the demand for IT will not be going down. It will keep the level or even go up.
Yeah.
Especially coming like through new technologies and all that. So our intention is really build a robust digital workplace strategy. We help organizations do that. So consider the interests of IT, but also consider the interests and of the users, the real users, the business. Consider interests of HR, of communications, of all the stakeholders that are relevant to really come up with a good strategy for each organization and then execute on that strategy with the support of partners and service providers.
Great. So it's not only about IT, right? It's also combining, let's say, the rest of the HR and also corporate communication. How do you see that, joint collaboration between them? And is that working like perfectly for most of the customers, or is there still some barriers around that collaboration?
That's an interesting question that you also could answer, but let me answer it first and then I give it back to you, because I think, let me turn it around. Whenever I see successful projects, typically there have been a combination of the decision making in between the different roles from IT, HR, and comms, and the business. So that's probably a good advice. It's a significant invest. It should last for the long term, and it should help all the people in an organization. So do build a strategy together as a team and then execute on that strategy. And I'm not sure if you see the same
100%.
results or you have 100%. A different opinion on that?
No, 100%. You are totally correct. And that's to me one of the prerequisites, let's say, in a project team. And whatever the industry, the size of that organization, is to sit down all together as a virtual team, combining the software vendor, the services partner, but within the customer, mixing HR, communication, and IT all together. And the most successful project, as you say, Khaled, is when the business leaders are sitting down with the IT plus the security as well, that we should not forget, and that they are working all together and going in the same direction. That's, to me, one of the most critical success factors that I see in such projects.
Okay. Edouard, one of the also results or the outcomes of that study was people feel there are simply too many information. Too much information, too many tools, too many of everything.
Yeah.
Now you bring a lot of benefits to the desk when it comes to the digital workplace. Do you provide even more options or you reduce?
Yeah. No. We try, let's say, to again rebalance between the value that we do provide as a platform, but again with a very close attention to the real usage and the real impact. So for sure, that's a mix. between number of features and number of products within the platform, but again, always connected with the real impact of it. To me, there are three key outcomes and priorities as a company, but I think that's absolutely valid for the entire digital workplace ecosystem. The first one is to recreate clarity. I think we've lost in the last couple of years because of that, information overload and, too many tools being deployed, the real objective and what's the North Star of an organization when they deploy a digital workplace. So again, clarifying with the customer very early on, what's the objective? And clarify it, formalize it, have some real KPIs that we are, let's say, agree on. That's the first one. The second one is, again, training. Training, and training. Support the end users, no matter if they are digital natives, non-digital natives, no matter, what's their role in the organization. That's super important to equip on a day-to-day. And there are lots of programs and organizations that can do this. The last one is analytics. And I will say monitor. That's the role of communication, but also HR. As soon as you've validated some numbers and objectives, is to track and trace on a regular basis. Does that platform, does that solution and software meet your expectation with real ROI and real metrics? I think that's our role within the ecosystem, and that's still, a challenge for the next few years.
So it sounds a little bit like there is a lot to do after post-installation. The provisioning itself doesn't fix the issue. It's more like a good starting point.
Yeah.
And then you really have to take care about the work environment that you just created.
That's the start of the journey, correct? As soon as the product is deployed, this is day zero. And, you still have a long journey to go to meet the success that you are expecting as an organization. Absolutely correct.
I mentioned like the issue that we see in Germany with regard to the available resources in companies. And we have addressed that point as well. So the good message is, if you want to take care of your digital workplace environment, there is a service that we offer, for instance, called Digital Workplace as a Service. It's really the idea behind that we bring all the different competencies and deliver a service that typically, especially the mid-sized organizations, can't deliver themselves because they don't have the available resources. And even if they would have, it would cost them significantly more than taking the service from us as a service provider. So I think in the combination of strong platform strategy, good decision-making process, and a strong service provider in the background, we can reduce the level of stress by using the digital workplace. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. 100% with you, Khaled.
So the easiest thing for our users out there would be to either give Edouard or myself a quick call, chat us, contact Powell, contact HIRSCHTEC, and let's work on a stress-free digital workplace environment that helps everybody in the organization to get the most out of your invest.
Thank you, Khaled.
Thank you, Edouard.